Forever, we call the meeting to order. If you will join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. First by Troy, second by Rick. All those in favor? And that passes 7-0. Moving on to recognition, Dr. Tomlinson.
I'll step up here real quick. You can hear me. So last year, obviously, with everything going on, we didn't have a classified employee of the month. But this year we wanted to start that up again, so I wanted to invite Cassandra to come up. And honestly, the exciting thing about Cassandra is she's probably the most pivotal person at the high school, and she keeps things going and rocking there. And Joe Grime recommended her for Employee of the Month because of all the work she's done and how much effort she's put into keeping things running smoothly there through obviously a tumultuous time. And so we really wanted to recognize her to start the school year off and let her know we appreciate all the things that she does. So I wanted to ask Cassandra to come up here.
Yeah.
Did she not get the memo to prepare her own certificate?
No, it's on its way.
All right, next up is the MSBA delegate report. Mr. McCown.
Should get to watch a little video here with Brent.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report for the month of September. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at the release of this year's state assessment data. The MAP assessments have served as the cornerstone of state and federal accountability systems for more than 20 years, but not this year. Students throughout Missouri took the MAP assessments last spring under the unprecedented circumstances surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of those challenges, the State Board of Education decided to suspend the use of those test results from state and federal accountability systems this year. Commissioner of Education Margie Van Dieven cautions everyone that blanket comparisons to previous year's assessment results would be a serious misuse of the data. But she says the data will be useful in other ways.
How can we learn from this unique period of time in education and to solve issues moving forward? Like many other industries across the state and nation, we are standing at a time where we can reimagine education. And closely looking at these data will help inform those new ways of doing business. We must also use these data to help us determine what individual student groups were mostly impacted by these variables, as well as how to allocate these COVID relief dollars to best serve our students, educators, and schools.
Van Dieven says she's pleased the high participation rate in last spring's assessments means there's no need for a fall testing window this year.
These data, along with your local assessments and other key data points, will shed light on the learning across our state and help us understand where Missouri students are academically and how to overcome the pandemic-related challenges presented. We look forward to working alongside local school leaders as we dig further into these data and together learn all we can to continue improving lives through education well into the future.
The statewide assessment data is being released this month, and individual school district data will be made available at a later date. As the new school year resumes in the midst of the continuing COVID-19 pandemic, school districts are placing a high priority not just on protecting the physical health of students, teachers, and staff, but also on addressing their mental health needs. Educators and mental health professionals are seeing more cases of anxiety and even depression among some students, as the pandemic drags on. Detective Jason Klaus is the state coordinator for the Missouri Crisis Intervention Team, a group that teaches law enforcement officers and first responders how to recognize a mental health crisis and de-escalate the situation. Klaus, a former school resource officer in Perry County, says the group works closely with school safety personnel.
We work with a lot of school resource officers who are law enforcement, training them in crisis intervention, the de-escalation technique. But it really doesn't stop there, because if you think about your school counselors, your school administrators, your teachers, your custodians, bus drivers, they all find themselves in the middle of, a student, maybe even parents that may be in a mental health type crisis. So the skills, the de-escalation, all is very important to really an entire school district staff.
Klaus adds it's important for teachers to recognize changes in student behavior.
And they really are the first ones to recognize a change in that student, a change in behavior. And it could be something of grades start to drop, even by, a half a grade, which is out of their norm. Maybe truancy starts to become an issue, just things that are out of place. It is very paramount to begin that conversation of asking that person, is there something you'd like to talk about? Is there something going on? I've seen some changes, but by ignoring it, you kind of allow that situation to continue and get to a point where now it's maybe beyond what that teacher or conversation can do to really bring that individual back around and offer those services.
Klaus spoke at the recent School Safety Academy sponsored by MSBA's Center for Education Safety. The no-cost training is designed for school safety coordinators, school resource officers, and school protection officers, and allows them to earn a school safety specialist certification. A second School Safety Academy is scheduled for this month. There's still time to register for the 2021 MSBA Annual Conference in cooperation with the Missouri Association of School Administrators, to be held November 5th through 7th in Kansas City. The event will once again feature numerous breakout sessions and workshops, many presented by school leaders from districts throughout the state, along with a great lineup of general session speakers, all in a new location at the Kansas City Convention Center. Among the general session speakers this year is former Kansas City Chiefs tight end and Pro Football Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez, who is a strong advocate for programs designed to provide emotional support for children so they can be successful in school. And don't forget the 2021 Safe Schools and Colleges Forum, sponsored by MSBA's Center for Education Safety, that will be held this year on November 4th in conjunction with the annual conference in Kansas City. Check the MSBA website for registration information and a schedule of conference sessions. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
Anything else, Darren?
Nope, that'll be it.
All right, thank you. Lisa, no visitors to the... All right, moving on to the superintendent's report, Dr. Hucks.
All right, the first thing I have for you is the construction update. Just run through the buildings really quick. Cornerstone is complete, obviously, working on punch list items. That'll go on probably for the next 2 years. Let's see, Elkhorn, also complete, again working on punch list items. A couple of larger punch list items. HVAC unit for the FEMA room, which is expected to be completed on the 24th, and then we have the canopy at the front entry. We're waiting on delayed supplies. ECC, complete, working on punch list items. A couple of larger punch list items are finishing out Section D in the playground. Playground should be done mid-October. Digital signs, you can see, are up and running if you've been driving around. We're currently working on the baseball field, the turf, replacement of the outfield fence, retaining walls, bleachers, painting and update of dugouts and railing. So that continues on schedule, expected to be completed in November. We did put in an application to FEMA for an auxiliary gym at the high school for about $4.75 million. So we're just waiting to see if that gets approved.
Let's see, and then we also applied for ESSER funds in the amount of $2.4 million for gym and PAC, HVAC at the high school as well. So that's where we're at with construction. Any questions on construction? All right. Next in my report is the CSIP. This is brief, just that there's our illustrious committee of 30 plus board, or not board members, 30 plus members, including board members and various stakeholders. Meetings start on October 19th, and we'll have approximately 4 of those to get up and running with the CSIP committee. So very excited about that, and I would thank everybody who's joined this committee because it is good hard work. All right, next, enrollment updates. A lot of neat factors to this. You have access to a spreadsheet there, and just some notable pieces. Pre-K enrollment's up 47%. Of course, we knew that. We knew when we put it over at ECC, its new facility, Old Westview Elementary, that we'd house more kids. We do have kids on a waiting list, so we're making sure our enrollment is stable that exists there now, and we may open 1, perhaps 2 more classrooms if needed there. We want to get as many kids in that program as we can. Elkhorn's up about 2.43%. Lewis is up 13.66%. Cornerstone is up, which was Westview last year, but it's up 6.26%. Middle school's pretty much unchanged with the same enrollment. High school's up 9.27%. Job Corps is down 78.47%. Job Corps campus is closed, which is why. So this time last year we had 144 kids in that program. There's 31. So that's the reason for the decline there. When they open that campus back up, I assume the numbers will go back up. But even with Job Corps included, the district's still up 3.3 year over year, 3.3%. And if you take out the Job Corps enrollment, the district's up 8% compared to this time last year. So, any questions on enrollment? Okay. Just a reminder that we have a tax rate hearing scheduled for September 27th. I believe the advertisements in the newspaper and that sort of thing will be out starting on Friday. But I wanted to remind this board at 5:30 at Central Office, not here, but at Central Office will be the meeting location. All right, so Mr. President, that is all the superintendent's report.
Any questions on those 4 topics for Dr. Hucks? Nope, not hearing that. Okay. Moving on to discussion items. First up is approval of the naming committee recommendation. Dr. Hucks.
So thank you to the folks who participated on the naming committee, Kaylin Good, Anthony Berry, Ross Shahib, Melissa Miller, and myself participated on that committee. And it was to decide what to name this building, because it's the old Early Childhood Center at this point, and it's confusing. So some different names came up, but the one that was recommended unanimously was the Support Services Center. So I recommend that the Board of Education rename this facility the Support Services Center.
So moved.
Second. All right, first by Troy, second by Rick. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? And that passes 7-0. All right. Approval of agreement with Excelsior Springs for community center memberships. Dr. Hucks.
This is something I'm really excited to bring to you. This is agreement similar to what the hospital has with the city with regard to the community center. Same price point that they pay. And so all full-time employees at the hospital receive a complimentary membership to the community center. As you know, we've already committed to a $10 discount, which if fully utilized would cost about $21,000. So we've been working with Jesse Hall, and we came up with this proposal here for $56,004, all full-time employees of the school district could receive a membership to the community center. And basically what they would receive is a $35 credit, because that's what a membership costs. This agreement would be a 3-year agreement, and obviously can go on beyond that. But if you wanted to add a spouse or a child or something, you would just pay the difference. So if it's $15 to add a spouse, all the employee would have to pay would be the $15 a month. Consequently, if husband and wife are both employees, that's $70 worth of credit. Well, for $65, I believe, you can get a family membership. So they'd be able to get a family membership at no cost. So this is helpful in many ways. One, our health and wellness program. Morale is another one. We're always looking for ways to appreciate our staff, and I think this is a great one to do this. And ultimately, this should have an impact on our insurance. So there's 3 great benefits. So, I recommend that the Board of Education enter into agreement with the City of Excelsior Springs. I will say, the way this would work, if we agree to this tonight, they'll review it and agree to it in the October meeting, and then so it would likely begin November 1st would be the complimentary memberships would begin then.
So moved.
Second.
First by Rick, second by Kalen. Questions?
I think that's an awesome idea.
All right, hearing none, all those in favor? And that passes 7-0. Last up, Human Resources, Transportation, Food Services, COVID update. Dr. Tomlinson.
I get all the fun stuff, don't I? I love it. Just an update for COVID. So there is a dashboard that's now available on our website. So if you hover over district information, there's a COVID reentry selection there, and it gives you an updated. So it looks a little bit different than last year, but currently it just sits. It gets updated once a week. Updates on how many positive cases there might be throughout the district. It also splits the quarantines into people who may have been in a close contact while at school versus if they were a close contact outside of school. So currently throughout the district there's 15 positive cases, there's 10 quarantines as a result of school, and 30 quarantines as a result from the community. So that's what we're dealing with as far as numbers throughout the district right now. But that dashboard is available out on the website. Again, it's updated once a week, and you can take a look and if you're ever curious about how things are going. From a transportation standpoint, if you remember correctly, we told the community that we were going to start busing elementary students, even if they lived within a mile of the elementary buildings. Now, we already do that for Elkhorn because of the highway, so it really only deals with Cornerstone and with Lewis. And so we thought there was going to be B routes where we'd send buses back out again, but we found that we actually have had enough open spots so far to be able to pick them up as they're coming back into the buildings to drop off, which has been great because that saves us an entire extra route. Our buses are pretty full. The good news for that is we're running very efficiently. I'm not sure if it'll remain that way once the weather turns, but it's an option. But as for the time being, we're actually doing pretty well on it, better than we thought. So just kind of an important update I kind of wanted to give you on how things kind of played out with that. So pretty happy with how that's gone. Food service, participation's been up. Obviously without in-person classes last year, it's difficult to gauge what that trend line is because we didn't have kids for as much of the year last year, but it is up from the years previous. Current projections show the district will make a little over $500,000 in the food service program this year. That's an improvement from losing $70,000 to $80,000 a year on food service a few years ago. The intention is to try to reinvest some of that money back into the food service program. One of the things we want to improve our food choice, the quality and the delivery of it. So you're gonna see some continued emphasis on making that a better program for our kids. So I'm really excited about where things have been going with that, though.
Was that because we changed our food service vendor?
It's a number of different reasons. I think the vendor did help because it brought some of our unit costs down. Also currently with some of the money that we're able to get back because of the CARES Act and now the ESSER money, we're able to provide free meals to all students in the district regardless of income. And so we get a little more, revenues from our meals served than we would have if we had to charge students for those meals. So
Okay.
there's been some benefits that we can reinvest back into the program.
And we haven't had any problems like the other districts getting food and stuff.
Well, that's an interesting question. So you have probably seen in the news where some districts deal with some supply chain management issues, and they have been shorted in some different areas and had to change drastically what they're able to offer. This is one of the important considerations when you choose a food service provider, right? Is when we went with Aramark, they're such a large national company that they haven't had the same issues because, you know, you might say, oh, Excelsior Springs isn't near as large as North Kansas City. If North Kansas City's having these problems, why aren't we? Well, they run their own food service program. So in the eyes of food service suppliers, they're actually very small. Where actually we are very large because they want to keep Aramark happy, so their food keeps coming. So we've been very lucky with that. It doesn't mean we're completely, out of the woods on this yet, because every once in a while we may not receive enough where we might have to, maybe on Tuesday we have to run Thursday's menu, or we might have to switch it because it's not quite in yet. But we haven't had to resort to something extreme, and so far we've been really lucky, I would say, more than anything else. But I think it's probably advantageous because we chose such a large company to partner with too.
Good.
Any questions about food service?
Any other questions? We,
I got one more.
oh, okay, good.
Yep. Human resources, so one of the things we're looking at from a substitute component is we have about 25 people on our substitute list total.
Which is not a lot.
No, well, we average 12 to 15 subs a day. On Fridays, we can have anywhere from 25 to 35 on a Friday. And all 25 don't accept the job every time either. So we're short. So we have unfilled substitute spots every day, and especially every Friday. So what that's just putting a strain on us. It's a tough labor market right now, but one of the things I would propose to do is I'd like to take an RFP out, get a request for proposal from some different companies, and maybe partner with some of a substitute service who might be able to pull more resources to be able to build up our substitute candidate pool. You will find that 90 to 95% of all the districts in the KC metro area subscribe to some service or another. We've tried to keep that internal, but I think it's time that we take a look and see what they have to offer. I would be interested in trying to get something put together for the next board meeting next month, if I can get RFPs back in time, and then try to actually institute something possibly in January. If nothing else, we can try it out for a semester and see how it goes. But it's getting a little dangerously thin. I'm not comfortable with it, so I've got to find other options. And right now, that's the best thing that's out on the table. So that's where I'd like to go with it. I just wanted to go ahead and bring that up and let you know that was going on.
Okay. What's our daily rate now, Doc?
Daily rate is, I think it's $100 a day, and it's $120 if you're long-term, which is anything after the 10th day, and then we retroactive it back to the first day. And that'd be for teachers.
Yeah.
But this would also include substitutes for paras, secretaries, lunch assistants, of the like, so.
Is
Yes, now I'm
Apple, how's Apple with drivers? They doing okay?
They had a really good summer. I'll be honest, they went out and really worked hard this summer.
Good.
I was really proud of them. They did a good job. I think they hired 9 new drivers. So I'm not sure how many matriculated through all the way to be currently driving, but that was a huge number for them. So they feel really good about where they're sitting right now, and they're going to continue to work on it, but they really worked hard this summer.
I just know some districts are having driver problems.
Hey, the labor market is interesting right now, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to find people to fill positions, and we're no different. So we're going to keep working and hustling and doing the best we can. And here's the biggest key to this. It's not just going out and finding people, it's also keeping people, right? So we need to put an emphasis on keeping the people we have and developing and training them and supporting them so that we don't have to go out and find as many. I think that's really where the trick's going to be.
Any other questions for Dr. Tomlinson? All right. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
First by Troy, second by Kaylee. All those in favor? And that passes 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out tonight.